I don't know what I would have achieved if I would have been like a John Cena or a Randy Orton, been the 13, 14, 20-time world champion. I don't know. But I think what I did in the short period of time that I was actually there, I'm proud of. I can say that I'm proud of it.
Dave Bautista's story isn't just about wrestling or acting. It's about a guy who was told he'd never make it, who lost everything more than once, and still managed to climb his way to the top twice. He went from bouncing at nightclubs in DC to headlining WrestleMania to starring in billion-dollar movies, but none of it came easy. This is how Dave Bautista bet on himself and won. Bautista didn't grow up with much. In his 20s, he was broke, working as a nightclub bouncer and barely scraping by. He once said, the moment that broke him was Christmas in the late 90s when he couldn't afford presents for his daughters. He had to borrow money. He called himself ashamed and desperate. That's when he realized he needed something more. Wrestling became that last shot. He went to WCW's power plant thinking his bodybuilding background would impress. Instead, the trainer humiliated him, ran him into the ground, and told him he'd never be a professional wrestler. Most people would quit right there. Bautista didn't. He went to the Wild Samoan Training Center, trained under Afa Anoa'i, and proved himself. In 2000, at the age of 31, older than most rookies, he signed with WWE. In WWE, Bautista started at the bottom. Deacon Batista, Leviathan, really weird gimmicks. But then he got the call up to join Evolution, Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista. He was the muscle, the enforcer, the animal. But fans saw something more. By 2005, the slow build paid off. He turned on Triple H, won the Royal Rumble, and headlined WrestleMania 21. Overnight, he went from sidekick to World Heavyweight Champion. For the next 5 years, Batista was one of WWE's biggest stars, multiple world titles, huge feuds. He was living the dream. But behind the scenes, he was frustrated. In his words, John Cena and I were both headlining shows, but he was being used in films and commercials, and I was just headlining shows. We weren't getting equal opportunities. That frustration pushed him to think about what was next. In 2010, at 41 years old, Bautista walked away from WWE. He left millions on the table to chase something almost nobody believed he could do. Acting. He admitted, I loved wrestling, I couldn't get enough of it, but I was forced to bet on myself. And he struggled, hard. He blew through his wrestling money, lost his house to foreclosure, sold his cars. He said, I lost everything. I had to start all over. For years, he took small, sometimes embarrassing roles while going broke. People in Hollywood didn't take him seriously, but he remembered the advice Stone Cold Steve Austin gave him. Don't get caught in the trap of bad scripts. Be picky. Even when he could barely afford rent, he refused to sell out. He'd rather risk it all than become a joke. Then, in 2013, he auditioned for a little Marvel movie called Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody thought it would work. Bautista had to audition multiple times, constantly hearing rumors of bigger actors being considered. Then one day the phone rang. He got the part of Drax the Destroyer. Bautista said, I had to pull over because I was crying so hard. I was shaking when I told my wife. My life was about to change. Guardians exploded. Drax became a fan favorite. It was funny, it was heartfelt, and it proved Bautista had real talent. From there, doors opened. James Bond, Inspector. Denis Villeneuve cast him in Blade Runner 2049. Critics praised his subtle, emotional performance in just a few minutes of screen time. He went from being the wrestler guy to an actor respected by some of the best directors in the world. Over the last decade, Bautista built one of the most unique acting careers in Hollywood. He doesn't want to be the next Rock. He said it himself, I never wanted to be the next Rock. I just want to be a good fucking actor, a respected actor. That's why you see him in movies like Dune, Glass Onion, and Knock at the Cabin, working with visionary directors, chasing respect instead of clout. Ryan Johnson called him a future dramatic lead. M. Night Shyamalan said working with him was revelatory. Think about that. A guy once told he'd never make it as a wrestler is now praised by Oscar winning directors as one of Hollywood's most underrated talents. Bautista's work ethic comes from wrestling. He says, compared to the grind of WWE, film sets are a cakewalk. He's grateful for every opportunity because he remembers growing up with nothing. He admits he still feels fear, still doubts himself. But as he puts it, I may cringe after the fact, but I'm not going to let fear hold me back. That mindset, betting on himself, refusing to quit, turned Dave Bautista from a broke bouncer to WWE champion to one of Hollywood's most respected actors, and he's not done yet. Dave Bautista's story is proof that it's never too late to start over. He was 30 when he first wrestled, 41 when he left WWE, 44 when he landed his first big movie, and now in his 50s, he's finally getting the respect he always wanted. So, if you've ever been told you'll never make it, remember Bautista, because he proved them all wrong.
Battle yourself when the night is cold.